If you haven't already, make sure your current time indicator is exactly where the first word is said, where the word that you want to transition into the screen starts. So click on your timeline,
I don't even know where to start with you.
preview your audio, and as you can see, it starts exactly where he says I. Now, since that's where he says I want to put a keyframe on the opacity and the position so it's exactly like that when the word is said. This will start our transition. We can set a transition, but we need to do this first. So put a keyframe on position and opacity. Now go a few frames back and then move the position to anywhere you want and move the opacity to 0. So it'll transition into the screen. Now another thing you probably want to do is enable motion blur. You can do that simply by clicking right there. If you don't see this and you see something like this, just click the toggle switches / modes button. Now if you have motion blur, that's pretty much exactly what you need to do for that. That one's already done. It's as easy as that. There are different types of transitions, and I can show you all of them.
I don't even...
Now I take back what I said about being able to show you all transitions, because you can make whatever transition you want. If you could think of a transition, how you want it to look, if you know what you're doing, you can make it look like whatever you want. So I'm going to show you the basic ones that I use. Now one common one I use is making words seem like they're coming out of other words. Now what I mean by that is the word don't, even, no, and where will look like it's coming out of the letter I. It'll look like it's coming from the center of it out to where they are now. I'll show you what I mean through here. I didn't do where because I'm going to show you how to do that one. That is going to be my preview one. So you have the word I. That one already transitioned in. Now the next one is don't. So if you go through the frames, you can see that it's slowly coming out of the word. So I'm going to show you how to do that. This one involves masks. So I'm going to show you how to use the mask. Now choose your word. Again, find where the audio is on the timeline. You want to find out where it says where.
I don't know where to start with. I don't know where to start with. Where to start with. Where to start with.
Okay, so right there, he says where. So again, do the same thing. Put a keyframe on the opacity and the position. However, this time you're going to need to add a mask too. So come up to the rectangle tool and draw a rectangle around the word. This will make a mask. Now in the layer options, you should see a new thing that says masks and mask 1. Then you'll see something that says mask path. Now to give a good effect on it coming out of the word, you're going to need to change the mask path. Now you want it to go from the bottom up. What I mean by that is that it'll transition from here and the word will slowly go from the bottom to the top. So open up your, well, first thing, put a keyframe on your mask path. So no matter what, the mask will stay like that at this point. Go back a few frames and then open up your mask path shape options. You should come up with a window like this that says top, bottom, left, and right. Now since you want it to go from the bottom to the top, you want the top to actually be at the bottom position. So you want the top to be at 4.4209 pixels. Copy and paste that to the top, and now you won't see any of the word. This is good, because then it slowly opens from the bottom to the top. To give it even more effect, change the position too, to inside the word, and move the opacity down to 0 again. So it'll slowly come out of the word and fade out. Now this part should be done. Let's see it.
I don't even know where to start with you.
So as you can see, the words I don't even know where showed up as he said it. I went ahead and finished the next part of mine just to make this go along a little bit faster. So let's see what we have.
I don't even know where to start with you.
So right there you can see I don't even know where to start with you. They all get transitioned in. Now one thing you may be wondering is, how did he get it to shift like that? Now you could be difficult and you could actually change all the positions to make it look like it, but there is 3D options in After Effects. What I did was I went to Layer, New, and then Camera. I left the default options, and then you can change the camera to move. So right here, I made it move to the left. I'll show you how to do that with the next part.
I mean,
So say I wanted it to move, I wanted all the text to move up and the camera to move down. Go into your camera options and put a keyframe on all the options. Now what that's going to do is make you able to move the camera, to animate the camera. So find where you want to change it.
I mean,
So in between there, in between the pause in the words, I want to make the camera move. So it's not moving slowly, and you'll see what I mean in a second. I'll do that just as an example. If I just do that, it's going to be slowly moving the entire time, just like that. Instead, you want to make a keyframe so it doesn't move at all in between that time.
I mean,
Next, you're going to want to hit C on the keyboard, or just go up to the camera tool and choose whichever tool you want. I'm just using one that'll make it go up and down, but there's tools that make it zoom in, that turn the camera, rotate it, and that just move it. I'm going to use the one that moves it. I'm not even going to use the camera tool actually. I'm just going to change it from the point of interest option. Now I'm going to move the text up and off the screen. So the entire wall of text will move off the screen. Let's see what we have.
I don't even know where to start with you. I mean,
So it moves off of the screen so you can start the next part. Now on this part, and another thing that is crucial to that, I forgot to mention, is that all of your text layers need to have 3D enabled. 3D is the little box looking icon here. Make sure it is enabled or it will not work right. So with your 3D option enabled, you can start your next wall of text. What I do to make it simple so you don't get lost is I usually just copy and paste a layer from the other one, disable the transitions by removing all the keyframes, and just move it down onto the screen. So now you have the next one. You can start your next wall of text and do the same thing. Position it however you want and move your transitions in. Now I'm just going to show you a few transitions, since that's basically how you do it. It just takes patience. You do everything I just did again. I'm going to show you a few transitions that I use. I already showed you how to just fade it in. I showed you how to use the masking, so you can be creative with them. Another one that is pretty cool when you have 3D enabled is if you make it spin in. So I put a checkpoint on the position, the opacity, and the X and Y rotations. I'm going to move them forward a little bit because I don't actually want to sync this with the audio, and I don't want that affecting it. Now what you're going to do here is change the X rotation or the Y rotation to however you want it. I'm going to change mine to about 180 degrees. So it's exactly one spin. Again, remember to enable the motion blur. I already did that, so it looks better. Now you can see that the word spins into the screen. It does a 180 to where it's supposed to be. So that's a cool effect you can do. Now the other transitions I'm going to show you are very basic transitions. You should already know how to do them, but if you don't, I'm going to show you. They kind of go along with the other ones, they're just different. The first one is just the opacity. So go to where the word starts, obviously, again, and put a keyframe on the opacity. Go back a few frames and just change the opacity to 0. Same thing as the other ones, just we didn't do the position or the rotation. Now it just fades in quickly. Now that one may be too boring for you, but maybe you still want something basic. You can change the scale too. So put a keyframe on the scale and the opacity. Now go back a few frames again and change the scale to whatever you want. Maybe you want it extremely small and it gets larger. Now if you change that to 0, it won't be on the screen at all. Now change the opacity to 0 and it'll scale in. It'll get bigger. Now that's how you do the scale. If you do the same thing with larger, except instead of changing it to 0, change it to something bigger. And that's basically it. Thank you for watching. I would love to see what you guys made out of this. Just complete everything that I showed with the different parts of your audio. It's a very long process, so show me what you made. Thank you.